days when the sons of Jacob multiplied in the land of Egypt, their cries were but whispers beneath the grandeur of Pharaoh's throne. Yet as their numbers grew, so did the fear of the oppressor. Chains were clasped upon their hands, and the sweat of their labor built cities for kings who knew not Joseph. In the shadows of tyranny, a decree fell like a blade, every Hebrew son cast into the Nile. But from the waters rose a child, drawn forth by destiny and adopted into the very house of the enemy. His name was Moses, and though raised among princes, his heart beat with the cries of his people. When the blood of an Egyptian stained his hands, Moses fled to the wilderness, a fugitive shepherd beneath the desert sun. There, upon the slopes of Horeb, the voice of the Eternal broke through the burning fire of a bush that was not consumed. From this flame, God called Moses to return, to challenge Pharaoh, and to bring forth his people with a mighty hand. Reluctant and trembling, Moses obeyed, and Egypt soon trembled under the weight of divine judgment. The Nile turned to blood, the skies swarmed with locusts, darkness covered the land, and at last, death visited the firstborn of Egypt. In that dreadful night, the blood of lambs marked the doors of Israel, sparing them from the destroyer, and the feast of Passover was born. With Pharaoh's will shattered, the Hebrews marched out in haste, their bread unleavened, their hearts alight with freedom. Yet freedom was not easily won. Pursued by chariots, they stood trapped by the Red Sea, until Moses stretched out his staff and the waters split like gates flung wide. Through walls of water they passed, while their enemies were swallowed by the returning deep. On the far shore, songs of deliverance rose to the heavens as the people beheld the mighty salvation of their God. But the desert awaited, with hunger, thirst, and rebellion lurking at every turn. Manna rained from heaven, water gushed from the rock, and the Lord went before them in a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. At Sinai's trembling peak, the Almighty descended in fire and thunder. Amidst smoke and shattering sound, he gave his covenant, a law written by his own hand upon tablets of stone. Israel, trembling below, pledged to be his people. Yet even in their awe, they faltered. As Moses lingered on the mountaintop, they turned to idols, shaping a golden calf and bowing before it. Wrath threatened to consume them, but through Moses' intercession, mercy prevailed, and the tabernacle was built, a dwelling place for the Holy One in the midst of his wandering people. Thus began the journey of a nation birthed in bondage and forged in wilderness. Exodus is not merely a tale of escape, but of transformation, of a God who rescues, commands, and dwells among his own. From the Nile to Sinai, from slavery to covenant, the story unfolds like a great tapestry of power and promise. It is the story of a people called to be free and of the eternal King who makes his dwelling with humankind. The Pharaoh's throne stood high above the red stone floor, sunlight cutting in through narrow slits and turning the gold of his headdress into fire. Around him, the court whispered of numbers. The Hebrews, descendants of Jacob, had multiplied into a sea of people, their tents crowding the fertile delta. Pharaoh's eyes narrowed. If war comes, they might side with our enemies, or worse, they might rise against us. He would crush that risk. Taskmasters were set over them, driving them to mold clay into bricks, to haul stone under the sun's fierce glare. The whips cracked and men stumbled, but the Hebrews grew still more numerous. Pharaoh's fear hardened into cruelty. His voice rang cold in the council. Every Hebrew boy that is born, throw into the Nile. In a small house in Goshen, a Levite woman nursed her newborn son, his small hand curling against her breast. For 3 months she hid him from the eyes of soldiers, but the day came when hiding was no longer possible. She wove a basket of papyrus, sealed it with pitch, and with trembling hands set it among the reeds at the river's edge. His sister Miriam crouched in the shade, watching. Down the bank came Pharaoh's daughter with her maids. She saw the basket, sent for it, and lifted the lid. The baby's cry rose sharp in the warm air. "This is one of the Hebrews' children," she said. Yet her voice softened. Miriam stepped forward, her heart pounding. "Shall I find a nurse for him?" The princess agreed, and so the child's own mother nursed him until the day he was brought to Pharaoh's daughter. She named him Moses, drawn out of the water. Moses grew tall in the palace, trained in Egypt's learning, clothed in fine linen. Yet when he saw his people bent under the lash, something in him burned. One day, he came upon an Egyptian beating a Hebrew. Rage surged. He struck the man dead and buried the body in the sand. The next day, he tried to stop 2 Hebrews from fighting, but one sneered, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Will you kill me as you did the Egyptian?" The heat in Moses' face turned cold. The thing was known. Pharaoh sought his life, and Moses fled east into the wilderness. He came to a well in Midian, where 7 women drew water for their flocks. Rough shepherds drove them away, but Moses stepped forward, staff in hand. The shepherds cursed, but withdrew. The women's father, Reuel, welcomed him, and Moses married Zipporah. Their first son was born, and Moses named him Gershom, a foreigner there. Years passed. In Egypt, the Israelites groaned under their labor. Their cries rose to heaven, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. His gaze turned toward them. One day, as Moses led his flock near Horeb, he saw it, a bush ablaze yet not consumed. The fire lit the air but did not burn the leaves. He stepped closer, and a voice called his name twice. "Here I am," he said.
Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you stand is holy ground. I have seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring them out.
Moses' protest spilled out. Who was he to go? What if they did not believe him? What if his tongue stumbled? God gave him signs, a staff that became a serpent, a leprous hand restored, and promised his presence. Still Moses pleaded for another to be sent. God's anger flared, yet he gave him Aaron, his brother, to speak for him. They returned to Egypt and stood before Pharaoh. The Lord, the God of Israel, says, "Let my people go." Pharaoh's lips curled. Instead of freedom, he made the Hebrews gather their own straw, yet produce the same bricks. The people turned on Moses, their hope soured. But God's word came.
Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh.
The Nile turned to blood, its surface thick and red, the fish dead beneath it. Frogs swarmed into every room, into beds and ovens. Gnats rose from the dust. Flies filled the houses. The livestock of Egypt died. Boils broke out on man and beast. Hail shattered the fields. Locusts devoured what remained. And darkness fell for 3 days. A darkness so deep it seemed to press against the skin. Each time Pharaoh hardened his heart. Then God spoke of the final plague. The Israelites were to take a lamb without defect, smear its blood on their doorframes, and eat its flesh roasted with bitter herbs, ready to depart. That night, the destroyer passed through Egypt. In every Egyptian house the firstborn died, from Pharaoh's heir to the prisoner in the dungeon. But where the blood marked the door, death passed over. Before dawn, Egypt erupted in wailing. Pharaoh sent for Moses. "Up! Leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go, worship the Lord as you have said." They left in haste, bread still flat from the oven, carrying with them the silver and gold of Egypt. But Pharaoh's regret turned to fury. He pursued with chariots, overtaking them at the Red Sea. The people cried out, but Moses lifted his staff. The waters split, walls of water standing on either side. Israel crossed on dry ground. The Egyptians followed, but the sea closed over them. The bodies washed ashore, and Israel sang. Yet the wilderness tested them. At Marah, the water was bitter until God made it sweet. In the desert of Sin, hunger gnawed, and God sent manna with the morning dew, quail with the evening breeze. At Rephidim, water gushed from a rock at Moses' strike. When Amalek attacked, Joshua fought below while Moses stood on the hilltop, his hands lifted until sunset, supported by Aaron and Hur. 3 months from Egypt, they camped at Sinai. The mountain smoked and shook, and God's voice thundered the covenant. No other gods, no idols, his name honored, his day kept, parents honored, no murder, adultery, theft, false witness, or coveting. The people trembled, promising obedience. God called Moses up, showing him the pattern for the tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant, the golden lampstand, the altar of incense, the priestly garments. But below, impatience twisted into rebellion. They shaped a calf from gold, bowed before it, feasted. Moses came down, tablets in his hands, face dark with fury. He shattered the stones, burned the calf, ground it to powder, and made them drink it. Judgment came swiftly, yet Moses pleaded for them. God renewed the covenant, his presence passing before Moses, declaring himself compassionate and gracious. The tabernacle rose from the desert floor, curtains of blue, purple, and scarlet, boards of acacia wood overlaid with gold, the altar shining, the ark hidden behind the veil. When the work was done, a cloud covered the tent, and the glory of the Lord filled it. From then on, when the cloud lifted, they moved. When it stayed, they camped. By day it was a pillar of cloud, by night a pillar of fire, God himself, leading them toward the land he had sworn to their fathers.